Hello again, this is Lord Melchior, and here's where we left off at the end of our previous tutorial. And today we're going to be creating a simple respawn room with spawn points, a respawn marker, and resuppliance cupboard. Hooray! So, we're just going to make our resupply area behind this wall. And first of all, we're going to need a door. We're just going to resize this, duplicate it once more, and move it up. This is where our door is going to be. So, we're just going to create a floor for our resuppliance cupboard, and we're going to make it this size, 384 by 640. That should be enough. And quickly going to put in some walls. And a ceiling. Ta-da! And this will be our resupply room. Now, the first thing we're going to create are the spawn points or spawn markers, which is where the players will spawn, obviously. To create a spawn marker, go to your entity tool, Shift E, and move to the right, and where it says objects here on the right, make sure that it says info player team spawn. It says info player team spawn by default, so that's convenient. Whoops, I didn't actually mean to select one just yet. To create a spawn point, as you just saw me do, go into your 3D view space, doesn't need to be selected, and simply click anywhere on the map where you want your spawn point to be, and a spawn point will be created. Obviously it's not facing the right way, so what we're going to do is we're going to select this by going to our select tool, and in your 3D view space, double click, and this will bring up the object properties. And these are the properties, the names of the properties, and these are the values. You don't always have to tamper with all of the values. If you need to tamper with any values, I'll tell you. In this case, you don't need to give it any names because we won't be having to enable and disable these spawn points via inputs, so we'll just leave that as it is. Team, well, this is the red respawn room, so team should be set to red, so that only red players will spawn at this exact point. Start disabled, no. Everything else you don't need to tamper with, apart from pitch, chaw, roll, which is basically this little circle over here, which is just the alignment. And to make it move, you just click and drag it into the right direction, hit apply to see where it faces, and we just have to make it face up, and that is 0, 90, 0. Click apply, and it is facing the right way. Now we can just copy this entity like you would copy a brush by holding shift, clicking and dragging. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, and what we're going to do is we're going to select all of these and copy them one row ahead. Delete the middle one. And now you will have 17 spawn markers. You're required to have at least 12 spawn markers for each team, which adds up to 24, which is the default max player count on servers. However, there are some mods in some servers that allow a maximum of 34 players to be on a server, so if you want to make sure that your map is playable on every single server in the world of Team Fortress 2, make sure that you have 17 spawn markers for each team, which adds up to 34 in total. Now, the next thing you want to do is create a respawn room visualizer. And what the respawn room visualizer does, it makes sure that the enemy team cannot come into the respawn room. It makes sure that you cannot build sentries in this area, and it also makes sure that if you are on the red team and you are still inside of the respawn room and you want to change your class or whatever, that you don't die. but that you just respawn inside of the respawn room, because otherwise that will be inconvenient. So, to create a respawn room, what you want to do is you want to go to your brush tool, and as a texture here on the right, click browse, and in the filter, type trigger. And you will get two textures, but you need the tools/tools trigger texture. This is a trigger that is invisible in game, but fairly visible in the hammer editor. And what you want to do is you want to just click and drag this into here, and move this up to the ceiling of your respawn room, and hit enter. Something I noticed that I did wrong, which is actually a great example of how not to do it, is this wall here that I created just now. It recedes into the other wall, so drag that back, otherwise when we go here the textures will overlap, which is bad overlapping texture. Well, the textures are the same, so you don't actually see it, but it's not good and unnecessary, so just move that back. Sorry for this noobish mistake. Same thing with the ceiling. Okay, well that was a great example of how not to do it, but I fixed it, so make sure that the walls are not receding into other walls. That's bad. In any case, we were making a respawn room visualizer, and it seems that I did not press enter in a proper fashion. Oh, still selected, enter, and you will have a block with a trigger texture that says trigger loads of times. To turn this into a respawn room visualizer, click the trigger texture and hit Ctrl T. This will tie your brush to an entity and make it a brush entity. You want to change this into a func respawn room, not a respawn room visualizer, I'm sorry. Func respawn room. This is going to need a name. We're just going to call it red spawn. Hit apply. And the team, of course, this is the team that is associated with the respawn room, so change that to red because it's the red spawn. Start disabled, no, it is enabled from the start. So, hit apply, close it, and you will have a nice working and fully functioning respawn room. Now, second thing we are going to do is we are going to make a respawn room door. Hooray! So, hit the block tool once again, and we're just going to type in metal, and to make sure that you do not get textures from other games like Half-Life and Counter-Strike, inside of the keyword drop down box, enter TF. That will make sure that you only get Team Fortress 2 textures. Right, so we're looking for this metal door 001 texture. So double click on that, and inside of the door space that you created, simply make a brush, make sure that it's the right size so that it matches your door opening, and hit enter. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select this and make it smaller than my door opening, just because I can. It will look better in game. Well then, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to hit Ctrl T once again while having the brush selected, and you're going to turn this into a func door. Hit apply. Name, we're going to name this red spawn door. Apply. And what you want to do, there's a few parameters in here. I'm not going to discuss all of them, but there's a few things I want to discuss with you really quickly. Speed is the speed the door moves. 100 is fairly slowly, so move this up to about 450, around 500. That makes sure that as soon as you walk towards the door, you'll be able to walk through it. You don't have to wait until the door opens, which is convenient, especially in a respawn room such as this one. Lip, we're just going to turn this into -1. Lip is the amount in inches of the button to leave sticking out of the wall it recedes into when pressed. So basically, if the door recedes into a wall, if you leave it at 0, you'll still be able to see the brush overlapping with the wall that the door recedes into. We don't want that to happen, so we'll just insert -1 so that it goes into the wall completely so that you do not see it anymore. You can also leave it at 1 so that it will have a little bit sticking out. I don't know how many hammer units add up to an inch, but you'll have to play with that to get the desired result. I'm just going to do -1 so that it disappears into the wall once it is open. And lastly, we're going to go to the move direction. This is a door that we want to go move up, so you can either have the pitch jaw roll here to make it move to the side, to the left, to the right, or forward or backward, or you can select this drop down box that says 0 and hit up or down. This particular door we want to be able to move up, so it moves upwards in that general direction. And once that is done, simply hit apply, and you're done. Sort of. Not really, because we still need to make a trigger for the door. So, what you're going to do, you're going to go to the block tool once again, go back to the trigger texture. If you're too lazy to find a trigger texture, empty the filter and keywords drop down boxes and hit only use textures. This will display all of your textures that are previously used inside of your map. Then you can easily find a trigger texture or any other texture that you've previously used. So, double click the trigger texture and make a brush around the door. Make sure it has enough space around it so that players that move into the trigger zone, so that the door opens timely. Hit enter. Note that I am actually making the trigger go through the wall. This is absolutely no problem because you won't see this brush anywhere inside of the map anyway. So go back to the selection tool with your door trigger selected. Wait, before I do that, I'm going to move it up a little bit. Hit Ctrl T and turn this into a trigger. Oh, sorry. Where it says class, enter trigger multiple. I want to give this a name, namely red spawn door trigger. That's a really long name, but nobody cares. Make sure start disabled is set to no. And go to outputs and click add if you haven't already. And where it says my input named, select on start touch. And where it says target entities named, select your door, which is red spawn door. Via this input, select open. Parameter override is grayed out after a delay in seconds of 0. Hit apply. Basically what this does is when this trigger is being touched, the red spawn door will open. That's basically what this does. So hit apply. If you want to make this door team specific, go to your trigger of the door and select filter name and type in the name of the filter that you're going to select. So we're just going to call this filter red. Okay, so the next thing we're actually going to create this filter by going to the entity tool and in the objects type in filter activator TF team. Hit click, and basically what this does is it creates a filter, so it checks whether the person that touches the door trigger is from the team. So this is a red responder, so we're going to change the team to red, and filter mode is allow entities that match criteria, and we're going to change the name to filter red as we specified in the door trigger. Now basically what this does is it checks that if the person touching the door trigger is from team red, the door will open. If it is from another team, so team blue in this case, it will not open. That's how easy it is. Hit apply, hit cancel, and now you're done. Now you have a team specific door with a respawn room, and basically that's it.